Hello. In this video, we're going to go over the basic form of quotient rule, and we will learn how to apply quotient rule with just basic power rule derivatives. And in another video, we will cover more advanced quotient rules, for example, with trig and with chain rule. So let's just start. In quotient rule, we have our h of x as our overall function is equal to f of x over g of x. And in order to derive this, we must do this. As I derive h prime of x, what ends up happening is I derive the numerator, multiply that, do not derive the denominator, just keep it as it is. So multiply it by a non-changed g of x, subtract, then derive the denominator, multiply that by the unchanged numerator, so just what is f of x originally, all over that whole thing. Let's get a straight line going. All over g of x, the denominator, squared. Okay, I'm going to also write it out in shorthand without the x's, just in case that's just a little easier to read. So let's go through it one more time. And we see h is equal to f over g. And again, we're going to derive it. H prime is equal to, derive the first, the numerator, derive the numerator, keep the denominator, subtract, derive the denominator, keep the numerator, all over the denominator squared. So if you can see, the numerator is pretty much the same as product rule with just the subtraction in between. And you must make sure you derive the numerator first and keep the denominator unchanged. And then we have the denominator squared. So nothing too bad. And let's just jump straight into it. We're going to try our first method of writing down what f of x and g of x are with their derivatives. And the second method, we're just going to jump into it. So number 3, we see that f of x, I guess I didn't have to write number 3 again. We see that f of x is the numerator, so I rewrite it. F of x is 5. Let's turn that into blue, actually. Keep the colors consistent. F of x is equal to 5. And what is the derivative of f of x of 5? Instead of an arrow, we're going to put this. F prime of x, we know the derivative of 5 of just a constant, right? The derivative, and we'll put that over here. The derivative of just a constant is, we know, equal to 0. So we know that f prime of x is equal to 0. Next, we state that g of x, which is the denominator, is equal to 4x cubed plus 4. Then again, based on previous videos, if you're confused, we have our power rule, right? X to the n, multiply the exponent to the front, then subtract 1 from that exponent overall. And then we apply that here. So we can see 3 gets multiplied to the front, 12. X, 3 gets subtracted by 1. The exponent loses 1. Then we have plus 4. Plus 4 is a constant, which will be 0. So we can see, before we do that, we can see that g of x is equal to 12x squared. G prime of x is equal to 12x squared. That's it. Let's plug and chug. We know we have f prime goes first, so 0 times g unchanged minus g prime first, 12x squared times f of x unchanged, all over, well, let's keep that in green, all over 4x cubed plus 4 squared. That's it. That is the derivative. That's it. After that, we're going to be doing algebra steps to make sure we can clean this up appropriately. A lot of teachers will allow you to keep this like this. However, just in case we are taking an AP exam, we must continue. So we can see that anything times 0, this whole thing will cancel out. So this will be 0. And 12 times 5 is just negative 60x squared. The denominator will just leave inside the square. It is unnecessary to FOIL. If you are confused with foiling, there's another video that goes over foiling. All right, perfect. That is, well, in this situation, not F. We're going to change this to H for consistency. H prime of X is equal to our answer right there. Easy stuff, right? Nice and fun stuff, right? So let's do one more. Just put our lines down to make sure we are not going to confuse ourselves. Okay. So first, again, I like this method for quotient rule. Again, I think it's a little easier. However, if you are someone that can see the derivatives immediately, by all means, you can jump straight into this method without, without going through it, because you can be like, the derivative of the top is 0. So for this method, let's go with that. So we know that the derivative of, and we're going to call this H again. Let's turn that into a black though for consistency. So we know that H prime of X is going to be, right, from the right side, we know F prime times G, numerator prime, keep denominator, derive denominator, keep numerator the same, all over square the denominator. So let's jump into it. F is the top, the derivative of the top will be power rule. And that we can see is 12x squared minus 6x. I started with F prime. I derived the top. Because we know H is equal to F over G. Next, we keep the denominator, do not change. This is going to be a little bit of a long one. We have a subtraction sign in between them. And we're going to derive the denominator, 20x to the 4th. Remember to subtract by 1. And then we are going to keep F, the numerator. So as you can see, if you can jump straight into this, by all means. I suggest doing this for a while until it clicks, and then you are more than you're going to be more than happy to jump straight into that and skip the figuring out steps. But I strongly suggest this in the beginning. As we continue, we're just going to put this all over. Let's get a straight line going. We're going to put this all over the denominator squared, which is 4x to the 5th minus 4 squared. After this, we should FOIL all the way through and clean it all up. We don't need to do that for this video because we have a video that will cover over the foiling, and most teachers will accept this as the answer. That's how you do quotient rule with just basic power rules. We are going to go in another video over more advanced quotient rules, and I will be sure to fully simplify them. However, we can leave this as is. Most teachers will take that as the answer. Other than that, if you have any more questions or specific problems you would like me to go over, please send me an email. I'm happy to making a video accordingly. Hope everyone has a great day.